Let's just all agree that Cluj-Napoca isn't a real place. It's a fantasy world like Narnia or Cleveland. But just in case this mythical world does exist, we've got a recap of the tournament it supposedly hosted. I'm Ian Barker, and this is the leaderboard. In a far-off, distant land called Romania, 16 of the world's best Counter-Strike teams huddled around computers, shortened the lifespan of their ocular nerves, and won a big-ass trophy in the process. North America kicked off the festivities by failing horribly, and Brazil's Luminosity Gaming beat Fnatic, but by and large things went as planned in the group stage. After that, things got pretty interesting. Envy beat Fnatic, G2 beat Virtus Pro, and the dead horse known as Ninjas in Pajamas beat TSM of all teams.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand final!
Envy and Navi put a stop to the upset nonsense and squared off for a climactic final battle, but it was the boys in blue that took home the trophy.
Hello everyone and welcome once again to Player One, where we interview the best and brightest in esports. Today, I am joined by Mike Hastro0, owner of Team Envyus. And for more information on Mike and his team, take a look at this quick video.
For all of the crap that console and PC shooters give one another, one guy has spent a good amount of time with a leg in both camps. Mike Hastro0 has managed teams at the top of both competitive Counter-Strike and Call of Duty, even picking up the sticks to play professionally well before Envyus CSGO was a thing. With a career stretching back as far as many CS pros, the soft-spoken Hastro has become an esports staple, even if his place rarely involves a spotlight and a camera.
And here we are, and here he is, Hastro in the flesh. Mike, how's it going tonight?
Doing pretty well. How are you?
Pretty good over here. Well, you're probably doing better than I am because you have a Counter-Strike team who just won a major. Just throwing that out there. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, I got to start off the bat with a tough question. A really tough one. The hard-hitting journalism questions here. Sometimes I see Envyus. Sometimes I see Team Envy, depending on the team we're looking at. Sometimes with COD or Counter-Strike, it seems different. What is it? Is it Envyus with a spelling? Is it Envy? What's your preference?
I mean, it's Envyus. I mean, Team Envyus is what we go by. I mean, that's like the core. But I guess people just call it Envy for short, and we're totally okay with that. Sometimes we just say that also. So I don't think it really matters too much. But at the core, it's Team Envyus.
Okay.
That's what it is. But if you want to call it Envy for short, you're welcome to.
I guess as long as you're winning titles, the name doesn't really matter too much. You know, as long as they know who won it, that it's you, it's still okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the title, actually. DreamHack Cluj-Napoca. Your team went there. They won the event. What was it like to watch them win the whole thing?
There's a lot of emotion, man. It was one of those tournaments that the whole field of teams were capable of beating anyone on any given match or any given day. And, every team comes in there with, you'd think their most preparation or they're the most prepared that they are for a tournament. It's the last major of the year. It's just the most exclusive, the most prestige. And, it was just nerve-wracking. The whole tournament was nerve-wracking. It's really wanted the guys to do well and play to their potential. And I think for the most part, they did that.
They played pretty well, I would say. Yeah, winning the whole event, that usually stands to be a sign of playing pretty well. Let's go right to the final against Navi. What were your thoughts coming in there? Your team had beaten Navi early in the tournament. Were you confident? Did you feel good about it? Or were you still feeling the nerves of the butterflies a little bit?
Well, you always feel the nerves when you're playing a team like Navi. I mean, they're so capable of being explosive. And I think we actually saw that in the semifinal that they played against NIP. I mean, NIP looked really, really strong against TSM, and then they came in versus Navi, and Navi pretty much just ran it on them, and they look like they're a force to deal with. And anytime you have a player like Guardian, along with the other four of his teammates, but Guardian especially stands out. He can just take over a game, which he almost managed to do against us. So it's just tough. You can never underestimate a team like Navi. They're clearly one of the top teams in the world, and we're always nervous.
Yeah, they wanted to break through here. They wanted to break through at the major finally here, and you guys stopped them from doing so. Were you surprised? Were your guys surprised to see Navi in the final?
I can't say that I was. I mean, like I said, I think a lot of the fans don't really realize how close these teams are to each other, and they also don't realize that how hard it is to win one of these majors, right? Like, every fan expects their team to win, and if you don't win, you're under performing, or you just something's wrong with your team if you don't win the tournament. And I don't think a lot of people realize how difficult it is to win one of these things. And I wasn't very surprised that Navi made it to the final. I mean, like I said, I think there are about 8 teams that could come in there and make it to that final realistically, and it shouldn't be a surprise to the people within the scene that are there, like me or my teammates, or any of the top teams that are people that I guess are working in the scene. But to the fans, it might appear like, oh, Navi's a surprise. But like I said, it's just on any day a team can come in, perform very well. Another team can make a couple mistakes, and that's a swing of your whole tournament. So, no, wasn't too surprised to see Navi there. They're an extremely good opponent.
It's a very competitive scene for sure. Speaking of that, this is the first time this core group of players have won a major under your direction, your organization. Does it feel kind of like this was the culmination of a year's worth of work?
I don't know. I mean, it does. It's certainly validation to what we've been doing. I wouldn't say it's just necessarily a culmination, because we've been winning trophies all year.
Sure.
We've been doing really well at select tournaments, and the team's had its ups and downs, but certainly I think we've come out and performed well in other tournaments. We barely missed out on the one in Cologne. Really tough first map for the team, where we kind of had that one in the bag, and then we just allowed Fnatic to kind of come back and sweep it. They played phenomenal to come back and win that map and beat us in the final of that major. But I think that's one that we let kind of go through our hands a little bit, and we went out and won, I think, 3 out of the next 5 tournaments after Cologne, or actually, sorry, 3 out of the next 4 tournaments after Cologne, leading up to the major. So yeah, it's a culmination of what we're trying to do, but also the year's not over and we have a couple more tournaments left, so we want to close out on the high note.
Right, for sure. And we'll get to some of those ups and downs in a bit. But again, going back to the tournament itself, in the semifinals, you were very close to elimination, as I'm sure I don't have to remind you of. Gamers 2 was up one map and had multiple match points in the second game. Like, how nerve-wracking is that, especially as an owner or a manager, because you just can only watch the team play, and you got to hope so hard that they're going to win, but you know how close they are to losing and going out the whole thing.
Yeah, I would say Gamers 2 is just the hottest team in that tournament. The way that their players were individually fragging, and they were also like coming up with some creative strategies actually, and they're executing fairly well. But just the raw fragging power that they had and the aim that they were bringing to the table is phenomenal. I think they're really going to be an amazing team once they lock down a few things, and not that they aren't already. They certainly are, but. Yeah, I think that I was way more nervous than most people in that venue. I mean, like as that overtime kind of played out, I just kept like sinking in my chair a little bit more and more. And towards that, there was like the second overtime where we went down 3 rounds, and so we gave them 3 match points. And I think like I was pretty much like laying on my back at that point, and it was pretty hard to watch. But the guys pulled it back through. I talked to Apex after, and he just said, like, he turned to the guys and said, if we want it, we can do this right now. We can do this right now. We can win those 3 rounds. They did that, and then they swept the next overtime. So I just really think that, our team never gives up, and it's just a tribute to how hard they work and how much they want to win.
And before that, the team had to play Fnatic in the quarterfinals, the revisiting of that rivalry that's been so well established now. What's it feel like when you have this team going up against Fnatic? It's got to seem like a special event almost.
Yeah, we want it though. We wanted to play Fnatic. I would say like it's that early in the tournament, the quarterfinal. It's not necessarily ideal,
right?
Certainly, like you have nerves going into that match, but what a way to do it, right? If like we're going to win that major, and I said this to NBK and maybe a couple of the other guys when we drew Fnatic that nobody will be able to argue with us that we're the number 1 team in the world. That if we're able to kind of take down Fnatic on the way to winning this thing. Certainly it's the toughest opponent you can face in a major based off their past results. And yeah, the guys managed to go in there and have a great match versus Fnatic. Also having to come back from being a map down too, which is really nice.
Right. Yeah. Some nerves for you in that series and the series against Gamers 2. All around a great accomplishment, of course, for the team, now the reigning major champions. But you mentioned before some ups and downs. There were some downs during the year. Some of those led to you making changes with the team. Kenny S and Apex were brought on. Shocks and Smiths were let go. I just want to get your take now on how that happened, how that came about, what the process was like.
Yeah, I think it was mainly just a chemistry issue at that point. When you have five players on the team, like in any other team-based esports title, like when you're in competition, you have 4 or 5, how many ever players you have in the team. If one piece kind of is not, I guess, in sync with the other 4, or 2 pieces are in sync with the other 3, or so on, it just becomes really tough to win, and I think it was just a chemistry thing where the guys were, they had won plenty of championships together, they had played together for so long, but there just wasn't something working anymore, and there's a lot of frustration, and that frustration they tried to work on for a couple months, try to bring it back, and I know certainly that my players tried to work on it. They assured me that they've been working on it and trying to fix it, and they just couldn't. It was just irreparable, and once that happens and you can't really fix the problems on the team by working together internally, then you obviously have to make a roster change. So that's what we did, and it's just part of being in competition with the team in any sport. You just have to kind of change pieces around when that's the last resort, and I think it was our last resort at that point.
Yeah, I know this is different for every team and really in every game, but what role do you play when it comes to big roster change? I assume you have a final say, but what part of the process do you step in and give your input on? How much of that do you leave up to the players to figure out what works best for them?
Yeah, I mean, I came in and I tried to make it work. Initially I tried to make sure that, we kept our team together. And, after I realized that it just wasn't possible anymore, then, I just do my job and, just take care of the business side of things to make sure that we can make a transaction like we did. And, Damien, the owner and CEO of Titan, was, very good to work with, and being able to make a change like that happen, make a trade. And I think Titan wasn't in the best position either, obviously, when with their team and their 5 players. I think they were facing the same issues that we were, and that's what actually ultimately made this possible. The fact that their performances were what they felt was under their potential, and so were ours. So making a player change could potentially benefit both teams, and I think that's ultimately what allowed us to even make this deal possible and bring in the team that we have now.
Right. What is it you think that Kenny S and Apex bring to the team that's different? I know the chemistry is obviously going to be different just because they're different players, different people, but what do they bring individually that perhaps you didn't have before?
If I have to be honest about it, I think that they're positional players, that just fit with our team. Like, we bring in Apex, who's always willing to be the entry fragger, and he's not afraid to play that role. He also, in my opinion, plays it as the best in the world right now. And, he embraces that, and he's also really willing to work with Vincent, with Happy, on his calls, and just listen to what Happy says as an in-game leader. And he's not afraid to kind of give that lead up to Happy. And so he plays his position as the best in the world, in my opinion. And that's what he brings to the table. And Kenny, we all know Kenny, what Kenny can do. He just brings, so much potential in games, and an ability to just shut down other teams single-handedly in some positions. And also is very good at maintaining his role and, just really working with his teammates. And, Kenny also brings obviously a certain little swagger to the team as well. And I think that goes a long way in boosting everyone's confidence. And I think just right now they played their positions perfectly in this major, and that's kind of ultimately what led to the victory. And I hope that continues.
Yeah, I think Kenny and Apex both seemed especially excited about the win. They've been waiting a long time to get the title. Were you excited for them? Yeah,
of course. I'm not French, I'm American, and, these guys are across the world from me. And, we're a bit different. We have different cultures a little bit, but at the same time, like, I look at them like they're my brothers. I spend a lot of time with them, or I have, and try to be there for them as much as possible. And, it's emotional to see them to win like that. Kenny's brother was actually sitting next to me the whole tournament, watching the whole tournament with me. And, it's his older brother who brought him into the game. And his brother was so emotional that he's, crying. He's shedding tears when he sees his younger brother win like that. And, a piece of me, has a bit of emotion as well for them. And it made me really happy and proud to see them hoist the trophy at the end of that, because, it's something I know is extremely important to them. A major is not like any other tournament. If I had to like kind of explain this to the people who watch and the spectators, I mean, it's just a different level, and the emotions are completely different as opposed to any other tournament you play throughout the year. So it's a big deal, and yeah, it made me really proud.
A big deal with the big trophy as well. Now I have to ask you, as we talk about the roster stuff
right
here.
now.
Yeah, I saw it back there actually. It was a nice look. The roster issues here. There's a feeling that this is a cyclical thing in France, that you have the teams kind of shuffle the rosters every few months, every so many months, however often it's going to be. Do you feel confident this team, as currently composed, can stick together for a prolonged period of time, that we're not going to see another roster shuffle like this for, a good while, a year?
I mean, you can't put a time frame on it, right? Like, it's just about, like I said, it's a matter of chemistry and, just success. If you're continuing to have success, you're not going to see a roster shuffle. If you're not having success and you're underperforming and there's a chemistry issue within the team, there's psychological issues within the team, that's when you have a roster change. And I mean, it's just inevitable, and it's just the way it is. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to have roster changes. Every team sport has them, all the way across the board, all over the world. Every sport has them, and the same goes for esports. And you try to just continue to have the best success you can, and when you're having a rough patch, try to bring the team back with the same roster and work as hard as you can to create that success again. And if you just can't do it, you got to change. So I can't say that we won't have one, and I can't say that we will. It's just a matter of how long we can keep the success coming, and hopefully we can just continue to work hard and do that. Our guys work really, really hard, and I really appreciate what they're doing for the organization right now, and how the time and commitment that they're putting in and traveling all over the world to compete. So we're just going to try and keep that going as long as possible.
Yeah, they couldn't do much more winning a major. That's about what they can. I do want to ask you, because from the outside looking in, it seems like I heard a quote from Happy actually during the event that he just wanted his guys to do what he told them to do. It seems like there was potentially some of the chemistry issues there where with that not happening. I know that Shox had some time as in a leadership role for Envyus. Do you feel like it's kind of Happy's team now at this point?
As for the past and with Shox and so on, I don't know if that was necessarily going on. Like, okay. I can tell you, I don't think that was 100% the primary issue. But now I can say that, anytime you have someone who as dedicated as Vincent, as Happy is to the game and to leading his team, and you put him in that position where you trust him, you have to trust him, and you have to have some kind of structure in your team. And Happy is the one that's leading our team in game, and he's a shot caller. So, we all trust him to do that. And if you watch some of our movies from past events on our YouTube channel or something, you'll see that Nathan, actually NBK in the ESL1 documentary we put out, said in the team huddle, the game is in Vincent's hands, and which it is, which we've put it in his hands. And so when he said that in that interview, yes, it sounds maybe a little cocky, but at the same time, I think our team values his strategies and his calls, and we all put our trust in him to make the right decisions. He's not always going to be perfect, but he's been pretty damn near perfect in the past 5 tournaments with this team. So, I mean, it's essentially his team to call the shots with in the game. That's what we're saying.
It looks good right now. Can't complain. Again, winning a major, getting the big trophies like you just got in the background there, you can't complain right now. We talked about before how crowded the pro scene is right now. The best teams there's a lot of really good teams, frankly, and they're all so competitive. What is it that allows one team like Envy, like your team, to stand out and winning multiple trophies over the course of the year or win a major again? What allows them to be different, to cut above over all the other great teams?
I think it's a combination of so many things. From certainly it starts with the players and their performances, but also to the organization, what we're trying to do for the players to keep, relieve them of anything that they have to worry about outside of competing. I think, it's certainly like I said, it's a team game, right? So we're part of that team. My staff is part of our team. The things that we do for them, I certainly think, or I'd like to think, goes a long way in creating success for them. But ultimately, it comes down to the raw talent that our players have. I mean, I have 5 of the best players in the world on this team, and their work ethic is something that's very important to that. You can put 5 of the most skilled players on the same team. That doesn't mean that they're going to perform well and win a major. it also takes like dedication, very, very hard work from those players, which we get out of our 5 players. So I think that to answer your question, yeah, it starts with, the players, their raw skill, add in, the practice, the dedication, and the work ethic, and then a good support arm in the organization and everybody behind the scenes to help them out. And it's just a combination of a lot of teamwork, and that's how we won.
There are rumors, Mike, I'm sure unsubstantiated, that the team likes to party a little bit, likes to drink a little bit, likes to go out at night. As manager of the team, as owner of the team, how do you confront that kind of thing? If they're able to win while doing that, do you ask them to just scale it back, or what do you say about that?
Well, nowadays, I'd say we're one of the teams that doesn't party as much.
Okay.
Really, like we don't. Like our team is very, very stay in the hotel, get a good meal in. Sure, maybe have a couple drinks before you go to bed. But I'll tell you, my players weren't out partying at all any of these nights at this major. They didn't go anywhere other than the hotel and have a couple drinks in the bar to help them go to bed. And they were very, very focused, and they have been, I think, at most of these tournaments that we've been to. I don't think there's been one night during a tournament that our team has gone out partying, for a couple months now. And I think that's you can kind of look at what we've done in the past few tournaments and see what's happened because of that. Like I said, I think we've won, was it 4 out of the last 5 now? So they're playing solid, and those are rumors.
Okay, yeah, just unsubstantiated rumors for sure.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll take your word for it. I want to ask you a couple more questions, and then I'm actually going to turn to the chat for a few questions they've been asking of us, or asking of you, like me to ask you, I should say.
Yeah.
The first one being, I'm sure you know, Turner has a big Counter-Strike league coming up next year. It's kind of a big deal. What are your feelings on that? And I'm sure that you've had something to say about that. You might have some involvement with the Turner League, perhaps?
Oh, the Turner League.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't fully committed to that yet, but I think it's a good idea on paper, but I think there's a lot of work still to be done to get more details about it, and before we decide to commit to anything, because I mean, in one way, it's amazing, put us on television, but I think a lot of people are still asking questions and kind of trying to do their due diligence to see if it's the right time for us to do that, and other teams are already committing to it and so on. But, for a team like ours to take time out to come to the U.S. and travel here and live here for a while to compete in something like that, we just want to make sure it's the right fit for us. So we haven't committed yet, I can say that, but we're certainly looking into it.
Yeah, now you obviously come from a Call of Duty background. How would you compare the pro CSGO scene to the pro COD scene?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I can say here, but
please say all of it.
I think the CSGO scene is just so much more developed. It's had a lot more time to develop in esports. It's had maybe a decade more to develop in esports than Call of Duty has. So I mean, there's a lot going on there. I think just the players in general have eventually become just much more professional and responsible in the CSGO scene. I think they're also a little bit older. They know how to carry themselves. They're just true competitors. CSGO scene is also a lot more global. Call of Duty, where it has its strengths are it's very viral. A lot of people in North America pay attention to it. It's not nearly as global as Counter-Strike is. I think it's dominant in North America. But I think Call of Duty is doing good things. I think Activision now with their World League will start to learn how to progress that esport more now that they're kind of taking more control over it. And it's just a matter of time before Call of Duty kind of learns how to be a little bit, I guess, more professional and responsible from the ground up, from in its totality. So CSGO for me is already there. It's there. It just feels good. Everything feels right. In Counter-Strike, obviously nothing's ever perfect, but it's as close to perfect in esports, I think, as you can get right now.
All right, a few questions here from the chat from TC Gamer HDEU. What motivated you originally to get into the Counter-Strike Global Offensive scene?
I love the game. I love watching the competitions. and I saw players who for me, when I watched them play and I watched them handle themselves, to me, they're superstars, yeah, I played a lot of the game. I just really, really, really enjoyed playing the game, and I really, really enjoyed watching the game. And that told me everything I needed to know right there. Like I want to get a team. I want to be involved in this. And yeah, that's a simple answer.
All right, from Jonabus, couldn't say really, underscore.
We have some sick names in this chat.
We do.
Right
We
now.
all always have sick names here, man. We have such sick names. Don't even. Are we going to see Envyus expand to League of Legends and or Dota 2?
That's the dream, man. That's the dream. Keep getting bigger and grow the team and give our fans more goodness to cheer for. We're trying. I mean, it's very difficult. I'll be completely just open and honest about it. It's very, very expensive and difficult to expand into those games right now. And not that we can afford it, but you want to make the right decisions when you're going to spend the amount of money it takes to invest into like a Dota team or a League of Legends team at this point. There are all these people, I guess, coming into the scene who have a bunch of money and they're just throwing it around. And, for me, I just think if I'm going to sign a team to our organization, I want to make sure I give our fans a team, something they can cheer for, one, something they're going to have fun with, and two, something that is actually sustainable in our business model. So, yeah, that's the dream. We want to support those games. I love watching League of Legends as well. I play a lot. I don't play so much Dota. Don't really watch too much Dota either, but I watched enough to know a little bit of the landscape. It's just that we want to make sure that we're taking care of our players, that we're giving them a sustainable home where they can have really fruitful careers. And if we can add a League of Legends team or a Dota team to the mix while we continue to do that for the players within our organization, then we'll do it.
I'm going to quote directly here from this question because I think it's got to be quoted as it is from Sphinxify. It's hard to say. A question for you: do you feel as hyped about the Counter-Strike team as you did during Black Ops 1 with Rambo Ray?
I feel super hyped. I mean, I was hyped back then. I was definitely hyped back then, but I think this is the most hyped I've ever been in total for our organization, not just our Counter-Strike team, but we just acquired a couple teams recently, and our Smite team as well, and we acquired a Gears of War team. Our Smite team finished number 1 in the fall split standings and in North America, and they're headed to the Super Regionals next 2 weeks in Atlanta. Being that number 1 seed in North America. Our Gears of War team, I think, is just like no doubt right now performing as the best team in the world. Although those games don't get like huge viewerships, for me, our organization is always built on just winning and competing, like playing to win, and that's what makes me happy. So we're trying to add teams to our roster that are going to go out and win championships. So in general, to answer your question, I'm more hyped now than I ever have been because we've expanded our team and we have so much potential to win as an organization.
I'll get you out of here on this one. Let me see here. From Honey Badger 220, I guess there were 221 Honey Badgers before he tried to take it. What is the future of Team Envyus?
Did I say that again? Sorry.
What is the future of Team Envyus? Simple, right? Easy question.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think I kind of dove a little bit into that already. We're trying to just continue to win. Give our fans something to watch that's fun. We want them to enjoy cheering for us, no matter what, winning or losing. So trying to just give them a great atmosphere to be a supporter of the team. And also we just want to support our players and, hopefully just continue to put wins and trophies on the table.
Well, we certainly look forward to that if it comes to be, because then we'll have you on the show again, and we'll talk to you more about it, and see the trophies in the background. I insist. In fact, can we go at the shot? Yeah, there it is. That's a shot. Let's show off the trophies a little bit back there.
You guys want to take a look at that?
Let's see. Let's take a look.
I can walk you over there, I guess.
Please. We gotta
I'm
see.
in France right now, so these are just the CS team trophies, but there you go. There's the hardware.
There you go.
That's, I think there's 7. Is that right? Yeah, 7. So, yeah, that's the trophy case right now. DreamHack London, DreamHack Cluj. That's a Gfinity Star Ladder, IEM, Gfinity Champion of Champions on the end. So there you go.
Live in France, the Envy Trophy Collection.
Yeah, it's solid right now. We're working on something bigger.
Oh, it looks good to me. A trophy case,
Yeah.
perhaps in order to contain all of them. You got to protect that stuff, man. You can't let that get all smuffed up or anything.
We're working on it, man. One step at a time. In Romania for a week.
You have enough trophies to justify it, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. We're working on it. I'm trying to stay humble about it right now. But one day we'll get something bigger.
Well, you stay humble, and we will brag on you on your behalf. That's a lot of trophies. It is. Take my word for it. Big thanks to Mike for joining us here, Hastro, owner of Team Envyus. If you like what you saw, any part of the night, follow the channel. Right down there, the button is somewhere around there. If you missed part of the interview, catch the VOD on YouTube at daily.esports. And of course, follow us and like us on Facebook and Twitter at .esports. And for the best esports news and analysis, daily.com. Thank you, Mike, for joining us. And to all you out there, good night.